All right, it is time for some film watching wrap up, chatty start of year goodness. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you this video. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about my plans for film for 2026, which are not set in stone, but some ideas, and also talk about some of the films that I've watched already, because I am thrilled to say that I have watched 6 films this year so far in 2026, and that just makes me so happy. Like, it's always kind of a goal to watch 3 a week, and maybe have 1 week off, because there's always like things like I'm already worried about like the Olympics and it's throwing off my film watching numbers, and I'm like, okay, let's just relax. Let's relax. We're not there yet. I love watching the Olympics, and I just like anything else is like push it to the side. But like I'm still working through my stats from last year. Actually, I've done most of my stats, and I would like to do some best of and favorites. I'm just trying to figure out what the best way to share that is, and like if it's just like the top 10, or if it's like by service or by theme or by like, most surprising, or I don't know. I don't know. Any suggestions? I mean, so far I think like I might do by 2 different services, and then anything else that was really good that didn't fall under those services. That's sort of what I've been thinking about. And those services would be Canopy, Crave, and then everything else. That's the current containers things seem to be falling into, but I'm not sure. Also, I didn't really make goals last year, so it's a little hard to like do a reflection. But I did watch a fair amount of movies, and I did watch a lot in December, which is unusual for me. I ended up being sick for the entire holidays. I got sick on like December 19th. And even like all through the holidays, I missed everything. I missed all of the events, and like even through like still wasn't feeling great until like early this year. So it was a long, so it was pretty yucky. Thankfully, my sister and her husband brought by like food after the like the various, family events and stuff like that. But that is like the first time I actually genuinely just didn't do anything for the holidays, which is really weird. We did end up going to see early in December. We did go to see Lorena McKenna perform, and that was extraordinary. So there was a holiday event, so there was that, and that was really great. That wasn't a movie though, so let's move on. It's the second time I've seen Lorena McKenna. She's absolutely extraordinary. It was a very interesting presentation too. Like a lot of the second part was like a whole sort of story, like interconnected. I can't describe it. If I can find any information on it, I will put it down below. But yeah, I wasn't planning on talking about that, so I don't have articulate thoughts. So anyway, for 2026, I haven't completely met my goals, but I do know that one of the things that I want to do is to complete doing my data entry of all the films I've ever seen into Letterboxd. This is something that I've been working on for years. I'm actually really kind of sad, upset, or maybe sad, disappointed. I didn't finish it by the end of last year. I did get to the point where I have entered everything that I know the date in which I have seen it, and I have kept records since like March 2006. So any movie I've seen from March 2006 to present, I know the date I saw it, where I saw it. I've collected that information. So that has all been entered into Letterboxd, and I am currently working through a big long list of titles, just that from A to Z, just my alphabetical list, and I don't have any context generally. I just know I saw this movie. So I'm in L right now. I've made it to L. I just did Legend, Tom Cruise Legend from like 85. There was also a Legend from 1996 that I couldn't find. Again, no context. So it's not, the data entry is not going to be perfect. It's not going to totally match up to every film I've ever seen, because not every film is on Letterboxd. Even one of the films that I watched this year so far is not on Letterboxd as far as I can find it. But I do want to enter all the rest, like, so L to Z, I want to enter those titles, and then I want to go through some of the big lists that they have on the stats page of like lists, like award-winning film, and just some, what else is there? Like, there's some that I'm not interested in, but I want to work through all the lists that I'm interested in just to go like this. Yes, I saw it. And then maybe some of my favorite actors and directors and some prolific actors, and just go, okay, yeah, no, I missed that one, and sort of, to sort of round things out, because I didn't keep records forever. I've kept records since 2006, but before that, I did like do a collective list at some point. When I was like doing a lot of film related stuff, I just like every time I thought of a film, like, oh yeah, I've seen that, I added it to a list. So that's the list that I'm working through. So I'm on L, and I'm at 4,100 films on Letterboxd, as noted as seen. And so I don't know, my big goal is like I kind of want to get to 5,000, but I don't know I don't think what I have left will get me to 5,000, and I don't know if like adding stuff from other lists, like all the award-winning films and stuff like that, because there's just, there's stuff that I don't remember in particular I saw. And also, like, even some of the titles I'm going through, like, when it's, especially if it's a one-word title, like I'm like that legend from 96, I'm like, what is that? I have no idea. Not a clue. So anyway, it does take a while. It's a lot. It is faster now that I'm just not having to add a date or put it on lists or anything like that, or tag it. I don't use the tag system, but like I do have lists. Of course, have lists. What? Who? So yeah. So I've been working my way through that slowly but surely. So but I guess I'm at M. That'll be halfway through. So 13 letters left, and I don't have any. There's some letters I don't have anything for, but then there's some that are very like S and will be really long, and T probably as well. Anyway, so that's some of the stuff that I am doing, and then and then for this year, just very lightly, as I said, I haven't made my goals, but I do think I am just going to go to like, I want to watch like, X amount of new titles, X amount of Canadian titles, X amount of international titles. So I think I'm just going to pick some categories and be like, I want to watch 5 of these and 10 of those and 20 of those and 10 of those or whatever. I think I'm just going to go that route. In other years, I've done like, book to film adaptations and, watching works of particular actors and stuff like that. I want it sort of pretty more general so that what I watch really matches up. And then also what I'm looking for has a sort of bigger bucket. Although honestly, if you're trying to work through an actor's work, it's pretty contained, and that can be helpful. But I want it to be pretty smooth and sort of just, like just, 10 of these and 20 of those and 30 of those and 5 of those. I think that's sort of the thing I'm going to do. So when I figure that out, maybe I will share that in a video, or maybe I'll tack it on to one of these sort of like week in film type videos. So let's get to the actual movies, because I've talked a lot, and see what are the first films that I have seen in 2026. First up, I didn't preset it. Bad, Shannon. One of the things I definitely know that I want to do this year is watch more Canadian film, and I did start with a Canadian film, and my goodness, it might end up being like one of the best of the year, and that was Brother. This is directed by Clement Virgo, and it is a Canadian film from 2022. It was a huge award winner. It got 12 Canadian Screen Awards, and it was nominated for 14, and one of the nominations, it had 2 categories. So the most it could actually win was 13, and it won 12. This is an extraordinary film. It's based on a book that I don't know if it was, okay, so this is, let's see, I can't read the stickers. So it's got Writers Trust of Canada, Canada Reads selection, and then something best book, but Globe and Mail best book. So, and I think it was up for either a Toronto or something else, because it was on my list. So that is the book that it's based on. So Brother by David, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce their last name. Sharanandi? it also, the film was also part of Canada's top 10 in 2022. So this major accolades. It's set in Scarborough in 1991 to 2001. This was amazing. Like this is a drama. This is an emotional story. This is like has a lot of feels, and there's a lot of tension in it. Sort of how the story is structured, you're sort of building to something. And the two characters that we see here are brothers. And they're sort of like at the tail ends of high school. Like one seems to be, like one is just about to graduate and one is in the earlier grades. And so there is this sort of like, some of the things I found really tough in the film. Like, it is a tough watch. I like that's just true. But like there's some things, like there's a lot about society, who you are, who you present to be, who you need to present to be in certain situations, and this sort of disconnect there can be in that situation. And then also for the two brothers, I felt like there was like who they are to each other and who they need to be to each other, and how sometimes that is very closely aligned, and then sometimes that is just ever so slightly off, and then there's some real heart-wrenching stuff there. Oh, and I did say it was set in 91. There is also that's when they're in high school, but they do also have stuff from when they're younger. It was a great film. I loved it. It was a tough watch. It was an emotional watch, but I am very, very happy that I watched it. I feel like I should have probably read the book first, but I mean, I'm not reading as much, and Canadian fiction always takes me a long time to read. It was on my radar from when it was up for the awards. I'm not sure what years those were, but this was excellent. Highly recommend. I watched it on CBC Gem. One notation with that is they did actually blank out some language, and they did blank it out from the captioning too, which I don't think I've ever seen. YouTube actually does that on YouTube. If you swear, the auto captions just put a blank. I came across that recently, and I'm like, that's not what they said. Anyway, and I haven't come across like a work where the language has been blanked out. I mean, for me, it was pretty clear what the word was, so, and I can understand why they blanked it out, but I was a little surprised. I just didn't expect that in that. Anyway, so that's, I mean, sort of kind of neither here nor there, or maybe not. I mean, language, I mean, if you have any trigger warnings, I would always recommend looking at IMDb and looking at under the parental content. I can't remember what it's called, in case there's anything you need to be aware of before watching something. But for this one, I mean, it's like the emotional journey, and then there's like also like the Scarborough, like there were just some things that just. And also the time period. There were some things that just felt so familiar. Obviously, I'm not, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm not the target market, but like I can't speak to the experience that the characters are having. But there were some things that were very familiar and very touching. And I really, I mean, the acting was so good. But the story was tough. But it was, I'm glad that I watched it. It was well worth watching. And I mean, it also kind of is tough because I'm like, my goodness, if that's how I start the year, like every other film is gonna it's gonna be tough to kind of like live up to that. And also like sometimes when it's something that I've wanted to watch for so long, there can be sort of like, what if you don't like it, or what if it doesn't meet your expectations? Far exceeded. So yeah, that was really great. After that, I needed something like a little lighter, and I did, so I picked a short film, and I watched Falling Leaves. This is from 1912, directed by Alex Guy Blanche, Blache, or it's probably Guy Blanche because the E has an accent. So Alex Guy Blanche. There's no N. I don't know how to say that without an N. Anyway, so this is a short film, 14 minutes. It's a silent film. It had a score. I think it was restored. I watched it on Canopy, and it was. So the story. This is like a narrative. Like this is just like a brief narrative, and the story is that there's a girl who is ill, and the doctor indicates that she will not make it to when the leaves fall from the trees, hence the title Falling Leaves. But there's a new treatment, and maybe this could change things. So it's a family drama with the girl. I actually misunderstood the character dynamics. I thought the girl was married, and then her aunt and niece were the family, but I think she's actually the daughter of the family, and the other people were her parents, and then also the parent of this young girl who, my goodness gracious, she like really, so she's quite a young actor, but she was just so aware of the camera. Like it was just, I haven't seen anything like that for like a really long time. I haven't seen that in any sort of modern film that isn't doing that on purpose, but she was just sort of like, it's like watching a kid like see themselves in a mirror. Like she was just so like so that was quite kind of distracting. It was kind of charming, but it was kind of distracting. And you know, honestly, again, like this is from like 1912, so it's been a while, and you know, that's still in very, very early days of film. So, I like, for me, this one was like interesting, and like some of the things that I really enjoy about, that was a half a thought. It was interesting, but it wasn't like a favorite. And I think that's because like, it's just like, it's a narrative. Like it's a, like this happens and this happens and this happens and this happens. But one of the things I do, which isn't always my favorite, I don't know, I like stuff that's a little more strange, or like, I don't, you know, genre, for lack of a better term, like, you know, fantasy, science fiction, urban fantasy, horror, you know, that kind of stuff. But also I can totally appreciate, like, Brother was a drama, and I don't watch a lot of dramas, but wow, like, I mean, it was such a formidable story. So in that case, Falling Leaves had a lot to live up to, and it was actually a good film to sort of just go in another direction and just have a bit of liveliness, because it really was. And one of the things that I really like about silent film is how expressive the actors are, because they have to get across the story, and the relationships, some of which I didn't correctly understand, but through body language and expression and all of these things. And one of the interesting things about this is that I felt like the intertitles were, I don't watch enough silent film to know the structure of them that well, but I felt like this one, often the intertitles were after something happened, or was it before something happened? Now I can't remember. It just felt like odd to me. Like it was telling you what was going to happen, and then it was showing you what was happening. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so obviously I don't remember. Whoops. I should have stopped talking even 30 seconds ago and gone in a different direction. Oh well, here we go. So I do like the expressiveness of the actors. It had a restored or a new score, but the intertitles were not where I thought they would be. Like either I had already started to fill out the story in my head and it took me a different direction, or I felt like it told me the story and I'm like, oh, like I kind of would have liked to try and figure it out. Because one of the things that is cool about silent film is that it's more interactive, because you are trying to figure it out. Because like even with intertitles or like dialogue in the intertitles, there's still a lot of other stuff going on, like the relationships and what's going on and how people are feeling and what they're going to do, and there's a lot of anticipation and build up to what they're going to do, especially if someone slowly moves in one direction and you're wondering, are they going to do whatever this is over there or whatever. So I find them really engaging for that sense, but I think I do appreciate when they're short, like this one at 14 minutes, because it's more, that's a lot to hold over a longer period of time. And I'm okay with like trying to figure it out for this amount of time, but like for a whole like 90 minutes, it's a bit of a different story. So anyway, but it was a nice change of pace, and I appreciated it. It's not a favorite, but I did think it was interesting, and I do like to keep short works in the mix. And Canopy does have a collection of short works by women directors, and that's one of the things that I'm working through, and it is one of the titles that was in that collection. So I really like that Canopy does stuff like that, and it's interesting. I like watching stuff from all time periods. That was something I did with my stats, actually, as I looked at how many films I watched per decade and then what my rating was. Unfortunately, when there's only one or two titles, you don't get a strong sense of things, but I think it's going to be helpful, because I think there's some time periods that I'm a little more particular on, like either I really like it or I really don't. I think in the 40s and the 50s, I think there's some subgenres and themes that really work for me and some that really don't. So I would like to explore that further. That's not what we're talking about right now, though. Next up, I also watched She Will. This is a UK film from 2021, directed by Charlotte Colbert, starring Alice Kierg, Coda Eberhardt, Layla Burns, and Malcolm McDowell, and Rupert Everett, who I missed. He is someone I know who he was after the fact, but when I'm watching, I never pick up on who he is. Anyway, Alex Krieg is the protagonist here, and I watched this one on Canopy. It's a horror film. You can probably tell by the cover. I think it's like a horror thriller. I think you might file it a bit under folk horror, which maybe I'll talk a little bit more about. I have some strong feelings about folk horror. But so this one that centers on a woman who has recently had a medical procedure, and she's going to like a retreat to recover, and she brings someone with her who's like a PSW, like a personal support worker or nurse. The woman is a very well-known actor for a role that she did when she was very young, but now she is older. And so people recognize her. She's in tabloids, this has been her life kind of thing. Or I don't know, they showed a paper. I don't know if it was a tabloid or if it was more like a Hello. I don't know if Hello is a tabloid. Is Hello just about royalty? I'm not sure. Anyway, so it's been a long time since I remember selling a lot of them when I worked at a bookstore, $5.75 plus tax. Anyway, so I'm sure it's more now. But this was very much, so they get to the retreat, and of course, things aren't quite as they thought they would be. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting about this one is that it's in the sort of wilderness, but it's centered in a land where there is a strong theme. There's a strong historical element that in that area women had been wronged, and so that sort of brings the sort of film themes and stories together. And that, for me, sometimes I'm like, oh, this can tread into some tough territory. And I will admit, there were some tough scenes in this one, both visually dynamic and also more like actually things that happened. There was some tough stuff in this one, but I thought it was absolutely amazing. I really liked the score. I really like the story. I really like this sort of surly personality. The protagonist is quite surly. And I really like this sort of like begrudging friendship that starts to happen between her and the woman who is there to help her out. So she does not want help after this procedure. She does not want help. She does not want to be around people. And so she's quite surly and detached and that kind of stuff, and they sort of need to sort of find their way. And so I really liked that. I also liked how there was the wilderness element of it, and like the sort of like nature kind of like dreamy, like weird, like kind of stuff. It sort of verges a little on body horror, not too much, but a little. And I just thought it was extraordinary, like in a lot of ways. Like I can't remember what I rated it, like 4.75 or something like that, like, or 4.5 or not, or 8.75. Like I really liked it, and a heart. And it has really like milquetoast reviews on Letterboxd, which I'm surprised at. I thought it was great. There's also another poster that I think also gives quite a stronger sort of folk horror type vibe to it. But this is the one that I've seen the most. So anyway, I really like this. I thought it was really interesting. It was a bit of a tough one. As I said, there were some tough things that happened. I'm trying to remember what it was rated. Canopy doesn't have ratings listed. I don't know. It's probably 14A. Might be higher. I don't know. I don't like really I only care about ratings. Like if I see something's R, sometimes I'll go see what it's R for, because sometimes it can just be R for language. This one did have some other stuff. Some of the imagery, without question, was disturbing. Some of the things that happened were disturbing, but I really thought it had a lot to it. Like it was really intriguing. I was very engaged while I was watching. It's also not that long, which I appreciate. I feel like so many films are like so long these days, and I'm just like, why is it that long? Horror films don't tend to be, they tend to be sort of like an hour and a half, and it was somewhere in that category. And it was also directed by a woman, also passes the Bechdel test, which I really appreciate. So many films don't. And yeah, so it was a big win for me. Now I'm sort of building it up a lot. Like it's still like a horror movie that you'd see more like at a festival and, you know, that kind of thing. But also I thought the acting was excellent, and it took me a while to figure out where I know Alex Craig, I don't know if I'm saying that right, from, but she played the Borg Queen in First Contact. And I could not, because I didn't recognize her, but her voice kept sticking with me. And it's like, that's what it was. And also Malcolm McDowell is good, as he often is. There are some disturbing themes, but I thought it was good. I really appreciated it, and I'm really glad that I gave it a chance. I didn't know anything about it. It was just on my list. And that's one of the things that I'm doing this year. I am doing a list in Excel of films like on the different services that I have access to, and I'm putting like the things that are important to me that I want to see. Like I want to watch films directed by women. I want to watch Canadian films. I want to watch international films. I want to watch films with female protagonists. And I want to watch films that pass the Bechdel test, but you don't know until after you see it whether it does. If you're unfamiliar with that, it simply means a film that has two women with names. I think they need to have names. Two women with names that speak to each other about something other than men. And the vast amount of films that do not pass that test is shocking. And so anyway, but as I said, that you're not going to know until after you see it, and maybe that is or isn't important to you. I mean, you know, it's everyone's, but for me, it is important. And a lot of the films I watched last year did pass it. So I'm really, really happy about that. But I do feel like one of the things I'm doing to combat decision fatigue is that I'm making my own lists offline, and I'm deciding what I want to watch offline before I open any apps. And then I'm like, okay, this is on this service. Now I'm going to open it. I'm going to search for that title, and I'm going to watch that movie. And not while I'm watching the movie, other times during the week, I will go through and be like, and look through and see what do they have that I'm interested in. And then I'll research, you know, who's the director, where's it from, what's it about, how long is it, what's it rated, because those things can all play a factor. If I only have 2 hours left to watch a movie, I'm going to watch something that's like an hour and a half, you know, because, you know, often, you know, I always try and I don't want to, well, it depends on what happens at the 2 hours. Is it like, are you meeting someone? Or is it like, you know, I would prefer to sum up by this time. Anyway, but like having all of that information for me on my spreadsheet has been so helpful to make decisions that match the movies that I want to watch, or like the targets is a bit hard. Anyway, I think I was making sense, and then I slipped into like rambling. But anyway, what I was trying to say is having an offline list and making the decision from my list as opposed to making my decision from scrolling through, because I end up losing so much time scrolling through. Believe me, I love browsing, but I'd like to browse not on the times I'm going to watch a movie. If I have time to watch a movie, I want to watch something, and I don't want to spend a lot of time deciding. And I find that there were so many times last year I was just scrolling, and I'm like, no, that's not how it's going to work. So this year I've been referring to my list, making the decision like on the day. And usually I can sort of like pick out like sort of like 8 or 10 movies, but like I need to follow the energy. Like after I watched Brother, I couldn't watch another heavy-hitting drama. I couldn't do it. So that's why I watched the short film, and that was sort of like lively and sort of, you know, had a different pace to it. And then I think I had a break and had dinner, and then I watched She Will, and then I was like, whew, quite a day. It was quite a heavy day, but it was also like a lot of interesting movies, and I'm really happy with my choices, and I'm really happy with like sticking to like my priorities, because that's important to me. And also like, but I will also say that did kind of work out, because like, you know, Brother and She Will, I loved. Like I thought they were excellent. And Falling Leaves was fine. You know, it's not my favorite sort of thing, but I found it interesting and engaging, and it was short, and that's enough. You know, like that's enough to get a third one in. So anyway, so that was a lot of talk. This video got really long, but yeah, so that's how I started my year off. I am going to continue to do my data entry on Letterboxd. Wish me luck on that. I just got to 4,100 films. And I wonder where I'll end up and how long it'll take me. I mean, I'm kind of hoping I'll be done by my birthday, which is in July. So, but it kind of be nice to be done early in case there's anything I want to do like up until my birthday, like some kind of countdown of some. I don't know. I have not made plans on things yet, but I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about making plans. So those are the first 3 films that I have seen this year. Have you watched any of them? Have you read the book that Brother is based on? What have you watched this year? Do you have any film priorities or goals for the year? Because I'm really kind of trying to work on sorting those out. And would you be interested in seeing best of films from 2025 or favorites? My favorites. The best of is, do you have to watch everything to make a best of? I don't know. Anyway, some films I thought were awesome that I watched last year. Does that sound of interest? Let me know your thoughts, and I will be back soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.